That's not our vibe. Welcome to the Elemental Tea.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Elemental Tea podcast. We are Veronica, Nishita, May, and myself, Julia. We all welcome you here today, and thank you for coming. Today, we are going to be celebrating the autumn equinox, fall equinox, and we're going to be mainly talking about the harvest and what we are bringing in to the fall season. And it's going to be a nice, hearty, warming, happy conversation. Maybe not happy. We'll see. With us, it tends to go wry real fast. But yeah, let's get this going. And I'm excited you're all here.
Thanks,
Oh,
Julia.
I love that. Happy, maybe not happy.
Then ask that whoever celebrates.
So, like for me, I don't know about y'all, but like I wish I could like get everybody I know on board with like celebrating Thanksgiving at this time instead of like in November. And I hope you guys didn't hear that like very loud engine that just drove by. Okay, good. Like I never know how far sound carries, in these things. But like, yeah, for me, I always feel like September, at least where I live in the Pacific Northwest of the US, it's kind of like where we're starting really to get into like the autumn vegetables and stuff and towards the end of our harvest. I mean, we have a pretty long growing season here, but I feel like everything is like very like there's short windows for a lot of things. We're lucky we can grow some things year round, but I really feel like we have like our peak fruit season like in July, and then it's like after that it's more getting into like the hardier vegetables and stuff like that. And so and then we have our like grape harvest, for those who follow like Oregon wines and everything, and all of that really starts to wind down in September. So like by the time we're hitting November, it's like I think it's a little bit of a holdover from like calling animal harvests, right? Too. So it's like obviously, that's where we're getting like our game birds, and a lot of hunters are going out at that time. So it makes a little bit of sense, but it's like, I don't know. I just really feel like if we want like the full bounty of everything, it makes more sense to celebrate in September. And I know in Canada, you all have your Thanksgiving in October. So it's like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because our season's a little shorter than yours with the growing season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm in Florida, so obviously it's a little different here, but still based on the things that we can get and just the way that our seasons change. And yeah, it is just very different.
Mm-hmm.
It also feels like this is the time where it just feels more celebratory in that we're kind of like, and you talk a little bit about this, Julia, of like bringing in the good memories of summer and harvesting all that beautiful, you know, energy that we brought from the sunlight. And I feel like when we celebrated in November, I feel like I'm always in a state of grief and mourning during that time. And it doesn't, I mean, I know that it's supposed to ignite a light during that time, but it doesn't feel like I'm connecting with the seasons in that way, if that makes any sense. Because right now it feels like it's a time of joy and gratitude. And so I agree with you, Mee.
And I almost feel like, instead of it being, I was reading something, I want to almost say it was like in Daniel Dulsky's book, Seasons of Moon and Flame. It's almost like we have this forced joy in the darker moments, right? And I kind of understand why that's important. But in our society, it just almost feels like it's over the top, right? It's not these quiet like moments of joy. It's not this Thanksgiving for our families, it's not like thankful for our communities and like this idea of sharing bounty, because it almost feels like that window is a little past by that time. And and it is important really to light those flames in the dark times of the year. But I feel like there could be a different way of thinking about it, you know, instead of like being thankful for the harvest, because I know like the myth of the original Thanksgiving was more like thank you for like your generosity, right? Like before we massacred you.
Yeah, it's a moment.
That's some tea.
Pick two.
Right. But it's like it has shifted over the years to this like let's give thanks for, you know, the bounty of our harvest. And then, you know, we could always also get into this is more of a Samhain topic, but I don't know if you all have this in your parts of the world, but like here in the Northwest, it's funny because there's a lot, like we have a very like massive secular community here. But the people who are Christian are very like militantly Christian, I want to say, or some of the people. I don't want to say all of them. So there's like this also, or maybe it's just like specifically where I live in the suburbs, but like there's this backlash against Halloween. So like you'll see a lot of these like harvest decorations next to Halloween, and like I don't care because I'm like, oh well, that works for, you know, the autumn equinox, I just buy it, you know. But it's like but it, you know, it's funny how it's like it's really funny how it's co-opted. And so like yeah, and then you know me like I just have always really felt like it's kind of a slap in the face to our native communities to like celebrate Thanksgiving. But then so I've read some things too about like how some tribes are like no, let's like reclaim that, right? And let's like really celebrate in the sense of bringing our communities together again and, you know, working towards healing. So I don't know. And it was always like my dad loved that holiday, right? Because he liked to cook for everybody. And so like I really try to bring all of these things into my autumn equinox celebrations, like this notion of community and like harvest and sharing the bounty, but also in the back of our minds, right? We're like, we have to like celebrate while we can. We have to be in this moment of plenty because the moments of scarcity are coming.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for talking about the indigenous peoples because I have so much, it's so hard for me to celebrate Thanksgiving. It now at this point, it just kind of feels wrong. And so something that I've done to kind of like reclaim it is obviously talk about it. I think it's important to bring up like I became that person at my family Thanksgiving of like, don't forget about this. And like I might just be like the Debbie Downer, but I'm also like I just want to address it. But I've also like a tradition that we want to start this year, Mark and I, is starting to volunteer our time at like a food bank where it's like, how can I give back and you know, cook for other people. Like we're trying to get to know our local neighbors around our neighborhoods so that we can like, you know, cook for them, make a meal for them. And like I feel like that's something that's kind of lost and forgotten. And so it's like, how can I continue to have gratitude, build connection, but also remembering, because I think that's for me, that's what November is, you know, remembering. We got Dia de Muertos, and you know, it's a very sacred time of remembrance and honoring your ancestors. And I always get really emotional when I talk about Dia de Muertos because it's just so, it's like a grief, but it's also very like beautiful, like a beautiful
Celebratory.
And I feel like you know, it makes sense to celebrate that more joyous gratitude during autumn equinox when we're, you know, the land is still, there's still joy, there's still sunlight, there's I don't know, we still have that summery time because technically the summer doesn't end until September 22nd, you know, when the equinox rolls around. So we're still very much in that joyfulness, I guess.
Yeah. And like in the Portland area, we can really almost count on more summery weather around this time than we can like around the summer equinox. Like I went to a summer equinox celebration this year and it was fucking cold and stormy and rainy and windy and like just fucking miserable the whole time. Like it felt like winter. I'm not even kidding, it felt like winter. Like I was wearing a heavy cloak, I was like a drowned rat, I was uncomfortable the whole time. And it is what it is. I mean, it's just part of living here, right? But like and it was outdoors, there was no like indoor component to it. They had like a little outbuilding on the property, and like by the end of the day, like one of my friends was in there doing tattoos, and I hadn't seen her all day, and so I went in there finally, and I was just like, I'm just gonna pop in and say hi to Abby. And she's like, and it wasn't even really like it was heated in there, but like people just kept coming in, so we were all kind of like cozy in there. And so I was just like, I spent the last couple of hours like just getting warm in there. So like, yeah, it does feel like sometimes forcing that Wiccan wheel of the year that's kind of been adopted like on a grander scale by our neo-pagan community and witchcraft communities, is like it feels a little forced at times. And so Julia brought this up when we were talking before the episode, before starting to record the episode, but like this is something that's actually been on my mind for several years. I've wanted to kind of write a book or teach a class or something, because I think like people force this idea of like, the climate and agricultural cycle of the British Isles onto their own practice, when it makes no sense for them to do so, like because their climate, their beliefs, their practices locally or personally really don't fit. And so like how can we honor, we can keep these celebratory days in our own way, right? We don't need to fit it in to the British Wicca idea of what does fall equinox mean, and what does what do all of these things mean to us. So yeah, I think it's something I've been giving a lot of thought to over the years.
Yeah, because I mean, granted, astronomical, astrological, all the different things. Yeah, I get it, but you're right. Like talking about seasons there, and like here in Florida, we're in hurricane season all the way until the end of November. And that's when, the water is super warm and everything is causing the storms to get stronger and everything. So from June 1st to like November 31st or November 30th or December 1st or something like that is where the season is. And that's a completely warm time here. And then usually after the last hurricane kind of goes through is when it starts to get a little cooler. Like we'll start having like cooler nights and breezy nights throughout fall, but that's like when it gets cooler, at least for Florida. It gets cooler here. But it's a completely different climate during hurricane season.
Yeah, that's such an important point. And it was something that's what I was bringing up earlier. I feel like where I am now in my practice is I'm going so basic. It's so foundational, is I'm just focusing on being present in the moment, but also with the land around me and the people around me and the environmental shifts, the weather, and allowing that to kind of I don't want to use the word dictate, but to influence my practice and my observance of the time and place where I'm at. And, I always think about people that, let's say, are down south, or are way below the equator, and they have like, they're going to spring while we're going into fall, or, and just like May said, we're following these like Wiccan British Isle practices. And I think there was probably the desire of keeping everything pure and natural, like, sorry, not the word natural, but pure to what it was, but not taking into account that where like, by the fact that you're not from there, you could never recreate it because you are in such a different environment, and you're kind of like forcing something into a space that is completely different. It has like completely different land spirits and history, and just the environment's different, and the temperature. Like there's so many factors, and the culture of the land you're on, right? And how it's been shaped by the different people that have come and gone. And so I'm really into paying attention to the environment around me, everything from the plants, the rocks, the water, everything, every element, every creature, and just observing them and how they act at different times, and trying to pick up on what does that mean. And there's like, I mean, if you think about people before an almanac, like, okay, for example, the Farmer's Almanac, how was that created? It was people observing the land. And then they would say, oh, when the moon is like this, we know that all the sturgeons start going this way and doing this, and then we can go fish them and harvest this and that. Like, there's a reason why a lot of the moons are related to like certain harvests or hunts and things like that nature. It was a way for people to survive. They use astrology. And like astrology, I mean, what goes on in the universe, like outside our planet, influences weather, actually. Like, anytime there's a solar flare, that's going to influence things like earthquakes and volcanoes and storms. And it's quite amazing. Like we're not just this floating planet, like we're influenced by everything outside of it and vice versa. So, it's just, I think it's a really wonderful thing to get into the habit of being present where you are. And I was telling them, I'm a really big fan of planning ahead, but for me, I'm getting better. I'm learning to just plan ahead, but it's for the purpose of giving myself the time and space to be present in the moment and not getting caught up in being in the future, because I have a bad habit of doing that. And so I don't want to be like, sure, I can plan, but leave winter for winter, leave fall for fall, like be right now in the last stretch of summer. And I think this is one of the first summers where I've really done that for a very long time. And I was like, wow, I'm missing out. There's just so much beauty in it. Like all the different insects and, the birds that are here right now that are going to fly south, I'm not going to have them for the rest of the year. We have really long winters in Canada, guys. So I should be enjoying the measly 2 months barely that we get. But I think that's something I really want to harvest and bring in for the rest of the long ass winter we have, is like all the memories from summer and all the things I've done and all the observances, and seeing how next summer, are the things going to be the same? Will the plants be the same? Will the insects be the same? Will the weather be the same? How is that impacting me? How's the people around me different? But doing that all the time, like with every season. And I think we really would benefit for getting connected with place and where we're at.
Yeah, that's so true. And I really think about how, like, as you were talking, I was thinking about how, like, I've lived in the same area for my whole life, right? And I am almost 50. So I've really seen, like, I want to say, like, I didn't need science to tell me about climate change. Like, I can see it.
Yeah.
Like, I can see it. And I also want to like touch on, like, the differences too, even in just like how the cycles of the sun affect us all differently, right? So we're in the equinox right now, right? And so when you think about the equinox, like, you're in this place where light and dark are equal, right, for the day. And then, when you're in the spring, I feel like we're all like really excited about making all these plans, right? Because the light is we know the balance is going to go towards the light, and the light in the sense of, because, here around here, we don't do like light is good, dark is evil. Like, that's not how we roll at all. But we all recognize, like, light affects us differently than dark does, right? Like, we are, after all, animals, and we do respond to these cyclic changes. And so, in the spring, we're all kind of getting excited for these longer days, and in the autumn, like, it's like, okay, we need to start preparing for these longer nights. And like, in a place like where Julia and I are, way north of the equator, that, and Veronica too, like, that makes a bigger shift for us. I mean, like, in Portland and in Vancouver, BC, like, our summer days are really long. I mean, really long. Like,
almost
it's
midnight.
It's not like Alaska long, but it's still really long, And so then when we get into like the winter, it's like we have a lot of dark. And, and then if you live somewhere like Julia does, where you're close to like the ocean, not only is it dark for a lot of the day, but then like it's really gray during the light parts of the day. So it just feels like, I know when I lived in Seattle versus Portland, it was a huge difference. And I'm like, I don't think I could do another Seattle winter. I don't think I could.
It's gray. It's like borderline like charcoal gray.
Yes, it is like charcoal gray. Seriously, like it just feels like
rivers,
night all day. Yeah. And it is really hard. And I am a sad motherfucker in the sense of, I have the seasonal affective disorder, like really bad, like to the point where even when I am not on, like a antidepressant, like I will get on one for the winter time, especially when I lived in Seattle, because it was so hard. And, so I mean, even just thinking about things like that, and like, how do we stay in this moment of like, we're in this moment of balance right now, but we know these darker days are coming, and how do we enjoy what we have now without future tripping into those darker days, right? Like, how do we balance planning versus, oh shit, like I feel like bummed out and I can't enjoy the space I'm in right now because I'm thinking ahead to this dark day.
Something that each of you said that I really appreciated was like a focus on observation. And I think that is like so magical, right? Because that's what keeps us present in the moment. It's like you were saying, Julia, too, like astrology, like these seasons, these ideas were all based on someone else's observation. And it kind of goes back to witchcraft too, where it's like these structures, we learn them because it helps us kind of understand what we're experiencing, but through our own eyes and observation, that's going to differentiate. And that's okay. Like, it's not supposed to be like this immediate, like Nishida, for example, like experiencing hurricane season, that's not probably going to align with the sacred wheel at all times. And that's okay. It's like, you kind of learn to connect with the land in your own way, on your own terms. And it's like you learn these structures so that you can learn how to break the rules from the structures. And I think that's a really important foundational lesson that I think it's easy, especially as like an astrologer, that, because I create the monthly astrology lessons, and I'm always sort of planning ahead too. And I find myself getting a little frustrated because I'm like writing about things that haven't happened yet. So I really have to like kind of disconnect myself from that. And it's just it's a good reminder of like coming back to the land and grounding it in your own way. Because even when I was in Texas, it was a lot different. Like summer lasted until October and it was just different. Whereas here, it's like I can clearly see the seasons changing as they should, or connected more to the wheel. But it doesn't make my magic or the connection to these concepts less magical. It's just seeing the cycles change in my own way, observing them in my own way. And I think that when you were talking about May, like how do we find the balance in that? It's like observation and presence with the state of where your environment currently is. And that's how we find gratitude too, because we're just like, yes, I'm in hurricane season, but there's beauty here, like there's magic in the air. The oceans are moving and I get to be a part of that. And that is just so cool to see, and from different perspectives of the world. So yeah, observation.
Yeah.
And may I say, like, the people that live in storm areas, like whether it's Tornado Alley, and I'm just talking about North America right now, I'm not talking about the rest of the world. I'm talking to what I know. And like Florida, I have to say, like, kudos to you people who know your freaking weather like no one's business. Like, you're like, oh, look at that cloud. This is going to happen at this hour. Just know your shit. It's amazing.
Yeah, there's this like eerie quiet like the day before, and then you start seeing all the animals go somewhere and the birds get really quiet and the clouds start turning green, and it's just like these little things that happen, and you're like, oh, we need to start bringing things in now. Like there's so many things. And even like I said, like the day or two before, you can start feeling things change, and you can start, usually you can smell the rain coming on any kind of storm, but it's a different smell when the hurricanes are coming. So it is that part of, even in that moment, being present and aware too, and knowing it. It's really important to have that.
Yeah, the senses. That's a really good point too.
Yeah, that's a big one. Yeah, I definitely see that, like the smell of things. Like the temperature, is that the right word? Weather smells different, right?
Yes.
Like you can tell when a humid front is coming, or your body. I don't know about all of you, but my body, I will get the aches when a storm comes, like, and I'll get it 3 days before.
Yeah.
I get fibro during winter really bad. And then sometimes summer. Like
me
to
too.
me, summer is like second winter, if that makes any sense.
It does. Yeah. Because
Yeah.
I also have fibro, and it's almost like any like major shift in the barometric pressure.
Yeah.
Same here. The migraines come in.
Migraine.
Oh
like,
God, it's the worst.
Yeah. I know exactly when it comes. And then it's so funny too, because I think about, while you were talking, Nishita, it made me think about how, like, you know, we magical folk like feel completely normal talking about this stuff. And it's like, and even I feel like other people will, but they don't think about it that way. It's like they think about it like, oh, well, my knee is starting to hurt, so I know it's going to rain or whatever. But it's like, doesn't it even make you wonder why that is? I mean, I know there's a scientific reason for it too, but it's like, it makes me think about how many people like consciously or subconsciously think about these signs that they see, you know, like how many people recognize that they look up at the sky and say, oh shit, or oh wow, you know what I mean? And like thinking about the weather that's coming. Or, you know, do they just like register it on a subconscious level and then check their weather app? You know, and I'm not saying like that that's wrong necessarily, but it just makes me wonder like how many people like in the larger community like really recognize that they are paying attention to these signs and observing these things, you know, because I mean, it's hard for me because I run in so many animist circles and witchcraft circles and, you know, magical folk circles, but it's like, so to me it's like nothing to say, oh yeah, like I've noticed that the crickets are not chirping as much today, you know, and what does that mean, you know, not necessarily like, I don't know, this is a whole nother topic, but you know how like there's this like big thing where it's like, I saw a crow feather. Is this a sign? It's like, yeah, it's a sign that you have a fucking bunch of crows in your neighborhood. Like most people do, like, you know, because they love to scavenge our fucking garbage. Like, hello. Like, you know what I mean?
Was it garbage day by any chance?
Right. Yes. I love crows, by the way. I love them. But, you know, yeah. And it's just funny to me though. It's like, yes, that's a sign that your, you know, deceased uncle is thinking of you. It's like, no, it is a sign that a crow flew overhead and dropped a feather.
Or you didn't close your garbage can tight enough.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, and don't get me wrong, there have been times when I've seen a feather on the ground when I really needed to see a feather on the ground, and it meant something to me, and that's all that matters. Like, I don't need to go to the internet and go, does this mean something? It's like, did it mean something to you? Then it fucking meant something. Like, so I think like the weather stuff can be the same thing. Like, I wonder how many people like consciously recognize it or just rely on other people to tell them what the weather is and what it's going to be like.
Oh yeah, here's the thing. I don't, forgive me, I don't remember from elementary school what all the cloud names are, but there's a certain type of cloud where it looks like tire tracks like through the sky. And that, like my mom, I used to have on tape that one episode or whatever you call it of Winnie the Pooh where he's trying to get the honey from the bees, and he goes to, oh gosh, what's the kid's name?
Christopher Robin.
He goes to Christopher Robin, and they go through this whole thing, and he's carrying an umbrella to pretend that it's gonna rain, and he's like, tut tut, it looks like rain.
Oh, right. Because he's trying to
Whenever,
fool the bees.
yeah.
Yes. Oh, I forgot about that. Childhood
Yeah.
memory
I
unlocked.
So
Just love that.
whenever
the
like we
last
see those
rain.
clouds, my mom would be like, "Tut tut, it looks like rain." And it's always rain. Like we didn't watch the weather or whatever. I just so when I see those clouds, I'm like, "Oh, tut tut, it looks like rain." And I would say that like when Bill and I were first dating, and he'd be like, "No, it's only like 5% chance of rain. It's only 10% chance of rain." I'm like, "It's gonna rain."
Mhm.
It would rain, and it would rain hard. And he'd be like, "How do you
Yeah.
know it's gonna rain? The weather app only said like this percent." I'm like, "Because of the clouds, man. Like
Right.
the clouds." So yeah, it's a thing.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel like you can control the weather sometimes? Or like
I have thoughts on that.
maybe in
Yeah.
sync with the weather in some way?
And sync. I think that's a
I think it's in sync too. Yeah. I think it's that I pay more attention.
I have two thoughts on that. Like, I think there's the sync thing, and I have this. I guess it's a hypothesis. It could be total bullshit, so just take it for what it is. But like I was saying, how like the solar flare impacts the Earth, and like it hits the magnetic field around the Earth, and that like causes like a ripple effect, and then it causes different things to happen. And I was thinking about, and then like the moon, when the moon is rotating around the Earth, that magnetic field influences the Earth. And I've always wondered, like, we're full of water, we're all shaking things, like we're a bunch of molecules shaking in the air.
Mhm.
And it just makes me wonder, like, if it's influencing water, it's obviously influencing us. And I'm wondering if there's enough of us feeling a certain way and like releasing a certain frequency, right? Because like emotions are frequencies, right? It's like an
Mhm.
energetic frequency. So let's say we're in a state of war and like the whole planet's in stress, like everyone's on stress, like animals, everything. If there's enough people having stress, this is just a guess, by the way, this is like, I don't know. Could that impact things? Could that create more storms? Because I mean, if outside things could create storms because it impacts magnetic field and it
Mhm.
impacts like I wish I had all the scientific names and they're not coming to me right now, but it's like there's this measurement of like vibration. I just don't, there's a pulse.
Yeah.
Human
Yeah, there's a
resonance.
resonance. Like the earth has a
Mhm.
pulse,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And there's outside factors that influence that pulse. And when that pulse is influenced and shifted a bit, it can cause like seismic activities, it can
Mhm.
cause lightning storms. So I'm wondering, can we affect it if there's enough of us feeling a specific way? And what like I don't know if this is true. I could be making
No.
this up, but it's like a thought I have, I'm
Yeah.
just
I mean,
I
it
yeah.
makes
agree.
sense. It does. It makes sense. I mean, I don't know. I think there's something to that, I really do. And I really think like, I always think about how back in like, even like the late 80s, because I remember when I was in the early 80s in elementary school and we were talking about, like life science or whatever in elementary school. And they would talk about like, oh, and someday the earth might even have 4 billion people, and I was like, oh shit, we passed that like real fast, like way faster than I think they even thought we would.
Yeah.
And I remember like my dad in the late 80s going like, I think part of global warming, like not even just like the greenhouse gases and everything, he's like, but part of it has to be like the fact that there's so many fucking people on the earth. Cause he's like, what do you do when you pack a room full of people? It gets fucking hot.
Yep.
And so like he would just like, my dad and I had like this weird little secret code, like, after we watched the Matrix and something like weird happened, my dad would just look at me and go, there is no spoon. So like sometimes like the same thing would happen, he would just look at me and go 98.6. I would just like, oh my god. But yeah, I mean, I think is something that people don't always realize, is that like, yes, we affect the environment in obvious ways, right? Like with our pollution and like our mining and like even like our agricultural practices and things like that. But like, yeah, our, energetic emissions, for lack of better word,
Yeah.
have to be affecting it at least on a subtle level, right? Like,
Yeah. I
you
always
know,
wondered that, I just feel like whenever there's a massive event, I always find like the weather's shitty.
yeah,
I mean, look at the planet right now.
yeah, exactly.
I
I know, and
definitely.
Bill will always be like, I feel really fucking wonky. He's like, I wonder if there's been an earthquake or something. And I
Mm.
was like, and I'll go and look, and it will be it might not always be like really close, but it'll be somewhere like in our wider area. Like, and when I say wider area, I'm like kind of maybe like thinking like Pacific Rim, like it'll be, and I mean, and it's not like that's the only place that has earthquakes. There's earthquakes all over the world,
Yeah.
right? And so, but he'll know, like, and and usually it will be in the, in North America somewhere. And so, yeah, he'll be like, I feel just really weird. And, and every freaking time it's like, yep, there was just one, or, whatever. I really wish we could predict them, considering, that I live in the foothills of Mount St. Helens, but
I would love that too. Yeah.
like
Being an earthquake zone sucks.
right, exactly. Well, yeah, and I mean, I lived through the first,
Yeah.
or through the last eruption. So yeah, like I was really young, but it made a mark on me, let's just say.
Yeah.
So I mean, and luckily, like I wasn't in the ashfall zone. I mean, I was to the south, but still, it's like I can't imagine what it was like in Eastern Washington and points east, where it was just like everything was darkened by it. Because I mean, it was like nuclear bomb forest, right? And so yeah, and growing up, I mean, just I think even if that hadn't happened, they had been talking about how like in the Cascadia subduction zone, it's like, when's the big one gonna hit? When's the big one gonna hit? And it almost gets to the point where you're like kind of complacent about it,
It's terrible.
like you have no control over it. So what are you gonna do, right? But
it's terrifying.
yeah, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, it's terrifying. So I don't know. It's funny because, there are parts of me that's like, oh, thank God I don't live in a place where there's a lot of tornadoes or hurricanes. But then I'm like, but then I live under this constant threat of nuclear war, basically. But maybe, because I'm a Cold War kid, I'm used to that. I don't know.
I know. I've said that before, and I've had people laugh at me from here, and they're like, "Yeah, not that you have to deal with forest fires, earthquakes, tsunamis, and like volcanoes. We're not in such a bad place." Like, oh yeah, you're right. And flooding and landslides.
Yeah, the flooding and landslides too, I think, are like something we don't talk about. But
yeah.
I think the fact that it's not like a foregone conclusion, I guess, you know what I mean? Or it's not like a regular occurrence, maybe is a better way to put it. It's like all of the things are possible and probable, but it's not like I can go, oh, it's, earthquake season again. Better batten down the hatches.
Right. Yeah, let's put our shutters on and all that.
Right.
Yeah, Nishida's in like hurricane mode now.
Oh yeah, we got our shutters. I'm like, yeah, we good.
But isn't there something powerful about that? Not to like make light of it, but I don't know, something about storms, and I don't know what it is.
Yeah, well, yeah, the storm itself, there is, like I said, there is this feeling, and like we've talked about this, and I think we've talked about it in another episode, but like the palm trees,
Yes.
the way the palm trees are so strong, like they are like legit, like head ringing outside, and you're just watching them, and like all the other trees are like missing leaves and branches are gone, and the palm tree is like, and it's just so strong. It is crazy to watch.
I know.
And you'll see like, afterwards, just things missing, unfortunately, whole houses are destroyed and stuff, but there's like a palm tree and it's just so rooted and so strong. And it's not like we have like crazy soil, like, it's Florida. But it's just something about it. And then just the energy about the storms. And it's definitely something, I mean, a lot of us fear it, but something that we also respect it a lot. And yeah, it's like you said, not to like make light of the situation or be like, it's so cool or anything like that. It sucks. But there is this huge sense of power. Like last year, I was talking to you. I was like, I'm going outside and I'm like doing my offerings to Oya and I'm leaving some stuff out there for her, like in the dirt and everything like that, and just letting things go and like, just please, let everything be okay. And you definitely get this feeling of something. And I mean, obviously science, that's how we're able to predict the hurricanes and know everything and all the paths and all of that, but there is this energy about it that is just whatever you may believe in or whatever deities that you may work with. There's definitely something out there. You can hear it. It almost sounds like something is speaking outside.
There's so
You're
much
making me think
sacredness.
about how whenever I have been to like San Diego, for example, it's probably the place I go the most that has palm trees, is I think about how flexible they are.
Yes.
And I will always like put my hand on one and, like if it feels friendly and I will say, like, please, teach me flexibility and, just accept this prayer of gratitude, in return or, and then when I have wind here, my house has a lot of Douglas firs, and my ex-husband, when we lived here together, like cut some down without asking, like had the tree people, they were already in the neighborhood for some other reason, and you know how they go around and they're like, hey, we've noticed blah blah blah, and he's like, oh, I'm having them cut down some of the trees, and I like freaked out. Like there was one that was close to our house that I was like, okay, I'm kind of okay with that, but there was like another one that they took down that was not, and I was like, that tree needed to be the other tree's companion, like, and he's like, well, then we should have cut down both. And I was like, I didn't want you to cut down any.
Either, yeah.
Right. But like what people don't understand about Douglas firs and a lot of the other big conifers is that they teach us a lesson about community, because they have very shallow roots. And they are not flexible, right? They don't, I mean, you can watch them, right? Like whip around and stuff, but they don't really bend like a palm tree does. And, in forests, it's not only like that they have their friends like surrounding them and buffering each other, but they also have like all of the things that grow in the understory that keep the soil like strong and keep the roots grounded in the soil. And I think like there's lessons to be learned from these, these friends that we live with. I call them my friends. People have different names for their spiritual allies, but I'm like, this is my friend. This is my friend Douglas fir. This is my friend reishi mushroom. This is my friend, whatever. Like, and it's just always been, even with my pets, I'm like, oh, hey, friends. Because they are my friends, like I have that kind of relationship, and it's a relationship that I've built. It's not something I just claim, right? And but I think like I know not everybody listening to our podcast is going to be an animist witch or even a witch, but I think like when people talk about the old religion, to me, and this is totally just May speaking, the little coyote May, is that the old religion isn't Wicca, or it's not Stregoria. It's not, like it's not any of these things that we practice. Even if we are recreationists and we're trying to recreate what we think our ancestors did, when you really go back to the old ancestors, they practiced animism. And not to like preach one path over another, I would never do that, but to say that like in the lineage of all of these beliefs, even Christianity, it all came from this animist lineage, right? And so when you're observing, where do these beliefs come from, and then how do you make them fit for you in your life, right? Like how, so when you're learning these Wiccan beliefs, for example, or you're learning this astrological symptom, like remember to keep it in context of time and place and learn why it was believed to be the way it is. And then you can take that information and then make what you experience work in that way. Like, what do I experience that's similar that I can like kind of lay on top of this framework and make my religion meaningful to me, or my path meaningful to me, or my practice meaningful to me, right? I mean, I think that's the piece where a lot of people miss out. They're going through these motions because some book told them to, or some teacher told them to, or whatever. And it's like, and it never really, like some people can get very rigid and dogmatic about it, but it's like, but are you really feeling it?
Yeah.
Is it meaningful to you? And if it is, that's fine. But to me, like I am like very science minded. And so I like to be able, like, I am a like, show me, don't tell me, right? Like, I need to feel it. I need to experience it. I need to see a pattern in order to make meaning from it. And while I can really appreciate a lot of stories and folklore and things like that, and I really love that stuff, like, I'm totally obsessed, it's like it won't really feel like it's part of me and my soul and my practice in a meaningful way until I can make it meaningful in my life and in my place. And so I think like that is like the lesson that I kind of have learned over the years of like harvesting different pieces of like this knowledge, whether it's ancestral knowledge or book knowledge or like something somebody taught me or something I learned from a program or a class. And it's like I've harvested these different pieces. It's like, okay, I like this. This makes sense. And there are some people who are like, how can you do that? Like, how can you worship all these deities from different pantheons? And how can you do this? And how can you do that? I'm like, because it has spoken to me, like, and it's meaningful to my life. And at the end of the day, that's what matters to me. Like, I am not professing to be a follower of any specific path because I have created a witchcraft that works for me. And that's my harvest. Right. So.
I was going to say like, oh, sorry, you go ahead, Veronica.
Oh, I was just saying,
sorry, Nishida.
I was just saying, I love that. Go ahead, Julian.
I was just going to say, like, I think a good way to think of it is, especially with a lot of witchcraft over time. And I mean, I'm pretty sure if you go back far enough, they probably didn't even know that was like, they didn't perceive that as witchcraft, right? Or old religions. I think if you just imagine yourself in that time where there's no technology, you know, the wheel hasn't been invented yet, you know, you're living with nature, like you're living in nature. Your survival is based on your relationships with everything around you. And you need to learn and build healthy relationships, just like the animals and the insects need to, and plants need to all build these relationships. Like, oh, this river is going to rise around this time, so we know that we need to do X, Y, and Z. And, you know, and as the humans would have to do the same. And I think over time, you know, as we got more curious and evolved more, you know, there's this book I'm reading right now is Shantaram. I think I'm saying that wrong. Then there was this explanation how, I'm not going to go into the whole explanation, how like the universe, the whole point of it is basically going to the ultra most complex form. Like we're constantly evolving into something more complex, which I thought was a really interesting concept. And, you know, as we're evolving and becoming more complex and bringing arts, and it's not just survival, we're bringing arts and culture. And I think that's why I kind of agree with that concept, because if why would we evolve that way? Like, why would we evolve to need to have meaning and like spirituality? And so, you know, you do all that and you think about all these old religions or old witchcraft or whatever you want to call it. And this is basically people observing the world around them, their place, their time, and using what they need with that, like using that information and then creating something that works for them. And like, if you look at a lot of like not so old witchcraft, but like, let's say like Mexico, a lot of witchcraft was used for survival because they didn't have access to means like other people did, you know? And it was like, I mean, not, and even people enslaved, like the people that were slaves, you know, they use forms of witchcraft, or people in the Appalachians who were kind of left to fend for themselves in the mountains. They figured out some kind of folk magic to help them cope with the harsh life. So I think it's just natural. Like, I think as a species, we can't just survive. We need more than that. We need meaning. We need stories. We need music. We need poetry. And like, our life is not just surviving, it's like living and experiencing. And so if you think about it that way, it starts to make you wonder, like, well, maybe I do need to adjust it to where I am and who I am as a person. And like, read all the books, awesome, and take what you need from them. And maybe something really does resonate from you for you, but just always remember that whoever created that, and even the recreation is like, it's not 100%. Like they can't ever know what really was unless they found ancient texts and if they can read it. But a lot of it, there's missing things, right? So they had to go with what they understand of that time period and like everything. So it's not perfect. They will never actually know why it was created that way. So I think if you keep that in mind, it makes it a lot easier to kind of not put so much weight on how something should be done and start thinking about like what feels right to me in my place. What do I need right now? And I think another thing to consider with harvest is, where am I at right now? Like, where am I at emotionally? You know, maybe I'm not all like, it's summer. Like maybe I'm in a shit place, right? And what do I need right now for that? Like what kind of tradition can I create right now for myself to get me through this? Or like if you're in the dead of winter and things look bleak because it's fucking charcoal gray outside, like what do I need right now? And like segueing out of that. Why can't I talk today? Like going from that, I think a great thing to do for harvesting is collecting memories from times. And I'm just saying summer because a lot of people usually have great summers, but if it's not summer, it's some other time. Collecting good memories when they come. And that can be everything from like activities you've done or just the plants that are growing and harvesting them. Like one of my favorite things is to like collect things that I'm like tea type stuff, you know, like my chamomile, my mints and everything. And I like to make my own tea mixtures. So when it's really cold, I like to have them for a drink. And that way I can remember that. And then the smell of it, it just like brings me back. So I don't know. It's like things that I think about when it comes to approaching witchcraft or just your own spiritual whatever. Even if you're an atheist, like the way you approach life, you don't need to like, everything's not set in stone. It's like, where are you at and where are you? Like, where are you in the world right now? And what is this time and what's going on around you, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like what I'm collecting and harvesting is connection, like with people. I feel like I'm on this journey. Like it's kind of very similar to everyone connecting with the land, but it's like it's actually human beings.
Yeah.
But I'm sort of opening up myself to. And I think the summer was kind of difficult for me in that I started to realize like there were some shadows that were kind of, because like the whole point of me moving to Maryland was to be in an environment that feels accepting and diverse. And I have that. And I have that environment now. And now I feel like it's kind of on me to open myself up to receiving that connection. And so I've realized that like I at times utilize my introversion as an excuse not to connect with others, but in the end, that's what I want the most is connection, is to meet people and to meet them in person, because it is so different to be in person, I think, than online. Not to say that our online connections aren't special, because they're tremendously special. It's just that I think in person, it's like there's such a vulnerability there, right? To be exposed, to be seen, and to also be perceived, but also it's like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like it's an energy, right? Like there's the opportunity to be significantly impacted by others. And so I'm trying to like go to my witchy tools, because I'm like, I always have to like remind myself, like, you're a fucking witch. Like there are so many things that you know how to do. And so I've been getting really creative about it. And I've always used glamour magic to like, protect myself and kind of get ready when I'm like going to be around a lot of people. But I started veiling with like those like triangle 90s or maybe even originally 70s hair bandanas. And I have like a sigil on it, and then I'll do Reiki on it. And then I like wear it over my crown, because I feel like for me personally, my crown is kind of where I'm most projected upon. And then it just kind of impacts my whole body. And that has tremendously helped to where I'm like, oh, I'm not picking up shit anymore. I just have to remember to like utilize those tools.
Yeah.
Oftentimes I realize that it's mostly me at the end of the day, like second guessing myself or second guessing the interaction. And so I'm cultivating being more vulnerable in the sense of, you know, harvesting those seeds of connection in person. And I joined it's called the Be More Horror Club, and we watched a horror film last week together. We watched Weapons, highly recommend for my horror junkies. But it was so much fun. Like we watched this film together. And then afterwards, we spent about 20 minutes sort of analyzing, talking about what we loved. And it was just like, it was so nice to just like have that connection with around a subject that you love, similar to what we're doing now, right? Around witchcraft, but like in person. And like, um, it made me realize why I like film so much too, because I'm like, one of the best things about film is going to the movie theater. And that is a collective experience. That is something that you sit together and you experience together. And, I feel like the more that AI sort of takes over the world creatively, we need that more than ever. We need connection. We need to sit with each other and, experience the scary movie scene together and then be scared and then talk about it and then get excited about it. And that's just what I long for. And that's what I'm trying to harvest. And I realize that a lot of that is on me. It's so vulnerable to meet new people, to make friends, especially in your 30s. And be willing to make the plans too. Like I had a friend who just had a birthday, and all of us felt like shit because we forgot to say happy birthday. We said happy birthday the next day. And then I was like, nah, I'm getting us together. So like I organized a full-on get together, and I was like, let's meet here. We're going here. And we had the best time. It was so much fun to celebrate this person. And then at the end of the day, he like came up to Mark and I, and he was just like, I've never told you all this, but I love you guys. And I was like, I love you too, man. And like sometimes those simple things, man, it feels so great. And, I just told Mark, I was like, the world is on fire right now, and we need our friends. We need our connections. We need our relationships. And that just means I'm going to have to be a little bit uncomfortable to get myself out of my comfort zone to build those connections. And I'm willing to do that. And yeah, that's kind of what I'm working towards is fostering those seeds and those relationships. And putting myself out there more to be hurt and to be loved. So, yeah.
The second part.
That's so
Yeah.
powerful.
It is definitely. Cheers to that, Veronica.
I love your Poe mug.
It's cool.
It's so cute.
Hold me a cup.
It's really cool.
I love
Make
that.
me
I need to get some mugs. Like everything I have is like, keep your tea warm for 10 hours. I don't have killer mugs. Like,
Oh my gosh. So speaking of harvesting memories real quick, like my souvenirs have always been like practical things. Like before we started recording, Veronica and I were talking about her vest and how she has like some of these like pins and patches and things from different places that she's gone. And I have also like done
I
that,
love
tried to get little
that.
things like that. But like I also collect mugs and like pint glasses from things that I've done. Like this one's from a race that I did years ago, like a running race. And then like things at places I've been and stuff like that, because then it's like every time I use this, I go, oh, that was so much fun to do the mustache dash with my friend who survived testicular cancer, or, like you have those memories in a very visceral way. So like,
I love that.
I don't know. I always try to get like things like that are usable. I have so many t-shirts, but so I was trying to get away from like t-shirts and more into like, yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the memories. That's a really important one. Especially for like fond memories, obviously.
Do you guys ever just sit? And I have this thing like every once in a while when I have nothing to do, which is rare. But every once in a while, I like to treat my brain like it's Netflix. and I have my little controller and I'm like, I'm going to look at this memory right now, or I'm going to look at this memory. And it just sit there and I try to remember every aspect of it, like the feeling, the taste, the smell, especially the smell. I love the smell memories. Like there's some disgusting smells that I love just because they memory, like skunk, you know? But yeah, I don't know. Something about that. Do you guys ever do that? Like,
I do. I love like picking memories. And sometimes I'll even, which doesn't really seem to make sense, but like before I fall asleep, like if I'm struggling to go to sleep, I'll try to like pick a memory that I like know every detail of, and I'll just sit and just go, go, go. And then it'll just make me so happy that I'll just like relax and then naturally fall asleep. But I I really enjoy doing that because then I don't know, it just sometimes it'll, and I'm sure it happens with you, Julia, like you'll pick up on something maybe you didn't like, you weren't so impacted by the first time or however many times you thought about it.
yes.
And then you're like, oh yeah, that was really cool. That's so special. Or yeah.
Or have the opposite, where it's like when you watched a cartoon when you were a kid and you watched it later as an adult and you're like, that was dirty. And
Right.
then I'm like, memories from childhood and it was so innocent. And then later I'm like, damn, that was messed up.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it is interesting. Or like you'll notice something and it kind of opens up perspectives. I don't know. It's just like this whole harvest thing is such a, I don't know, it's such a powerful tool when you think about how many ways you can harvest, right? Like it's not just like the food. It could like be memories. It could be experiences, friendship, community. Like there's so many ways. Your witchcraft, is such a powerful tool. And I think it's such a great time of year to look into that and like what does that mean to you and how can you bring that into the fall season and for when winter comes and how can that help you, and usually a lot of seeds, and I'm not talking about agriculture here, I'm talking about like what happens naturally. A lot of seeds, they fall, often like a change in season brings on a storm, right? And often that is for shaking the seeds off plants,
Yeah.
so that they can go into the ground, and then all the leaves go on top of them, and then there's like lots of water or precipitation. And now, of course, this is different for like that's not going to be the same everywhere, but I'm just talking about my own climate. But I know there's like variations of that depending where you are, and that seed just incubates the whole winter. So like that's such a just that idea, and then spring, a new storm comes and turbulence, and some of the lucky seeds get to grow. And I think just approaching that idea, like right now towards the end of summer, what are things that you want to harvest and what are things you want to sow right now to go, like to sit through winter? Like, do you have an idea that you would like to just germinate through the winter? And when spring comes, like something wakes it up. And I love the idea of storms because, like, what's the storm that's going to wake up that seed? Like, what's going to like put that fire under your butt to make it reality? I don't know, like something about that concept, of cycles, I think is a really interesting one too.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at, Julia. I feel like when we were having like discussion about like what was our next episode about and talking about what we're bringing in, like I was really struggling with it. And then I thought the thing that I feel like I'm bringing in is like a sense of returning. And I don't want to say like, not like I'm reclaiming anything because it's not that I'm reclaiming something I lost, but I feel like at the beginning of this year, I was working really hard on a lot of things and I felt really strong and like I was feeling stronger physically, mentally, and spiritually. And I was like, yeah, I got this and I'm feeling really confident. And then boom, I end up in the hospital and like all these things start just like falling. Like you said, the seeds, like everything just starts to go. And having like all these medical things. And so it's almost like I was trying to explain it talking to my Bill earlier. And like, it's like when you have like I'm not calling myself a magician, but like just an example, like you have this person who's like really good at these things. They go off and they have this battle or this journey, and then they get injured and they get hurt. And he was like Gandalf. So, but he's still Gandalf. Like he still has his powers. He still does this. He's just injured and just trying to get better. And so I feel like I put all this work in, and then all of these things happen. And so my lesson is to just return, not that I need to reclaim, but to just return to myself, but this time in a way that I have to learn to be softer and like steadier, like this next approach into the return of my seasons and my cycle or whatever is to return back to myself with a little bit more of that knowledge on how to do things a little slower. Maybe not be so, oh, I got a plan, I have to be in control, I have to do this, like align with my nervous system and just do things a little bit steadier and softer and calmer for myself, so that this year when I go through those darker times and I have the time to sit and like hibernate or be in winter, like I am at a place where I'm not like constantly operating in a storm of stress or something, which I've been able to do pretty well for a long time. But like right now I'm at a point where like I cannot be stressed out. Ah! And so I have to approach things a little bit different this time, but I'm still me. I'm still who I am. I don't feel like I lost anything. And we were talking about this the other day, like going back to like some foundational type things, which I don't feel like I have to do that in order to learn. It's just like I just need to do that to catch up to my nervous system and be present and be aware in the moment to make sure that I can physically handle this right now. So that sense of returning is, I think, for like what I'm bringing in for harvest.
I also was going to say, like, when you're in that winter, think about how can you nurture that seed while it's in the earth, like the way the leaves would hug and protect it. And like the water, like the rains that come and nurture, like, feed it and feed the ground. And it's like what is all that old biomass, sorry, that can nurture that seed and be food when it's time. I don't know, there's something about that.
Yeah, I want to go into that season and be a little bit like harvest, like have a little bit more to allow myself to take care of myself this time, so I don't have this happen. Obviously things happen medically and all that kind of stuff, but to, especially spiritually for myself, to feel a little bit more calmer, which is weird because a lot of people say I'm very calm. Inside here, it's not calm all the time.
I always find it's the calm looking people that are the most stressed because they're trying so hard to maintain everything. And the people that blow up probably have the least stress because they blow it out when it needs to come out.
Yeah. I know I've told you the story about how like one of the division managers at my work was like, I'd hate to see May stressed or May angry. And I was like, yeah, you would. Because if I get to the point where you can see outward signs of my anger, it's too late. Like it's done.
Run.
It's like I've already told you nicely like a million times. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Mount St. Helens is about to erupt.
It's true. And I'm also very much like you said, like I'm trying to like maintain like equanimity like for everybody else. And I think too, because like my anger has definitely been weaponized against me also. So like I do kind of tend to keep it inside, but it's like some motherfuckers just don't get it until you're like blowing up, and then they're like, whoa, where'd that come from? You are fucking psycho. And it's like, no, I'm just out of patience. Like I'm done.
Gee, I wonder.
Nishida, I feel that so much. It's like, oh my God. But yeah, I get that a lot too. It's like, you're so calm. And it's like, no, I'm not. I have like 80 million squirrels in my head and like a couple of hamsters and probably like a ferret in there, like going all the time. Yeah.
There was something that you said, Nishida, that kind of like struck something with me, and it's the idea of remembering or returning in the sense of like, I feel like I'm kind of going in that same direction as well, but like it's more like like we're planning our vacation for Europe, and I told Mark I'm gonna get a Polaroid camera, and he was like,
Aw.
why? And I was like, because I don't know. I feel like I'm returning to this nostalgia part of me where I just like really want to be present with the moment. And I feel like with an iPhone, I'm like having to like, you know, and then with a Polaroid, it's like shitty. Oh, no matter what you do. And that's okay. And like
Yeah.
and it's so like instant and it's like it exists in that moment. And then if you lose that photo, it's never going to exist again. And I just think that that's really beautiful. Like there's this part of me that is like returning to nostalgia and creating things and like patching things together and like the things are kind of like messy and like
Mm-hmm.
do you know what I
Literally
mean?
capturing the moment.
Yeah. And that goes back to
Yeah.
the observation where it's like I'm being present in this moment to experience this. I want to document it, but I'm just taking a quick snapshot and putting it in my
Right.
backpack. And
Yeah.
I'm
We only have
documenting as it was too. Like I'm
Yeah.
not going back and like touching it
No
up or putting
editing.
a
I'm not
filter
going to
on.
touch it up. My hair's
Yeah.
going to look all
You
fucking crazy.
also only have so many photos that you can take.
Exactly.
You have to be more
Mhm.
selective. You can't just be like bam, 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 bam. Oh, let me
Mhm.
delete and try again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's like it's returning back to the basics in how we experience life. And I think social media has kind of added this layer of photoshopping our lives,
Mm.
Filtering. Yeah.
affecting it and filtering it and having to post every fucking, you know, like I did this today or blah, 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 blah.
Right.
Like it's okay if you just experienced it on your own and no, you know, like you don't have to like seek validation for that. Like your
Mhm.
life matters no matter what. And I feel like I'm being challenged in that way. And yeah, I feel that return. I feel like it's happening around the world and I'm seeing it more and more, even in like the film industry. I think, you know, filmmakers are just tired and they're just like, I'm just gonna get my camera and make a shitty horror film. And it turns out
Yes.
to be really good. Like,
Mhm.
I
you
love
know,
those.
yeah. And it goes back to creativity too, of like, you know, I feel like so much of our creativity is kind of bought and sold to us.
Yeah.
And we forgot that we can like do those things. Like we don't have to like pay someone to do it. We can just like figure it out and then like
Mhm.
let it be shitty and then just get better at it and then build community around it or
Right.
you know, find healing in it or connect it with our witchcraft and our magic. And yeah, I think it's you guys said so many amazing things that I'm just like, oh, I kind of connect with that too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like before we wrap up, I wanted to say something too about like what you were talking about, Veronica, like just the social aspect, right, of community too. Like I feel like a lot of community events are built around doing something or learning something, and there's not enough about just being together.
Yeah.
You know, like yes, we can have a big like community ritual for, you know, fall equinox where everybody brings a dish and we make it a big potluck or whatever, or we can just get together as a bunch of weirdos and have a fucking dinner,
Right.
Yeah.
right, and just talk about it and just talk about being witches, you know, and not actually do being witches, right? I mean, and it's all witchcraft at the end
Yeah.
of the day, but like, you know, I feel like people put a lot of pressure on themselves to like show up and
So,
like to produce and to like be witchy and like um this is a
Yeah.
lesson I really learned from like my union activism, because I just felt like within like the union proper there wasn't a lot of like outlet for that, but within this other like group of unionists there is a space for just getting together and like having a social hour, you
Mm.
know, and there's something to be said about like just getting together with a bunch of other people and talking about something that you're into or experiencing without it having to turn into a like planning session, or what are we going to do about this, or like I don't know, that it just like we do actions also, but it's like to just have that space of like, what are we all going through, like what are we all feeling right now, like what are we all, like how's our lives been, how's the kids, like there's not too much of that. And I almost think like I'm really glad to see that there's a little bit of a shift from like this, like I don't want to say false online sense of connection, because yes, definitely online connections can be forged. I mean, look at us, but like there's also like these people who think like they have like this connection to you that's like not, like it's just an on, like it's a very like superficial online connection, and then I feel like that somehow gives them ownership of you, or you know, some kind of false sense of closeness. And it's like I've talked to you outside of like I've commented on a couple of your posts like how are you, like how are we friends now? You know what I mean? Like and I think, I mean, a lot of people are very, you know, not to fault anybody who feels that way, because I think people are hungry for connection and not everybody can access in-person connection, you know. So how do we cultivate that off of social media?
I wanted to put in a little thing, and it's something I experience as being an artist selling online, and like this obsession with you have to produce, but also you have to romance the idea of being an artist. And I think this can go for any realm, like just being a person in the world. I just feel like we use the computer, social media, whatever, to like romance our lives. But sometimes it's not fucking romantic. Okay. It's dirty, gross, and shit. And this is where I think human connection is so important. If you can do it in person, it's awesome. Like I have great friends here that we get together and it's random. It's not even planned. It's like, hey, I'm not doing anything. You want to come over? And we'll just sit on the back porch and the kids are playing and we're drinking wine and just like spilling tea left, right, and center and being crabby and shitty and talking about like how shit things are. Or like could be a celebration and we're excited, but we always feel so much better afterwards because there's no like I don't need to romance my life. It's shit. That's what it is. It's shit. And like there's nothing more therapeutic than being able to talk about it without judgment and without the need to fix anything. It is what it is. And I think you can get that even online. Like, look at like us. Gosh, that's what we do all the time. We're like constantly sending each other like voice notes of trash and like crap, and it's awesome. Like, it's so therapeutic. And you know, I think it can go both. I think you can do it in person if you can. It's awesome. If not, online can work. But you just have to have the fact that it's going to be vulnerable. You don't need to have filters on your camera. You don't need to look good. It could be shitty. You could be tired, like whatever. And like no judgment zone, you know, like judgment. If you can find that with people. And I think that's something, if I can talk about harvest and can you harvest, is like try to find your community. And it could just be one person, you know, and it's that one person that like takes you for who you are. And it could be a family member. Hell, it could be your animal. Like if you have a dog who's there for you, but just whatever it is, you know, like just find that place where you can be yourself. You don't have to put up a front. You don't need to romanticize, because I think it's important to feel like shit sometimes. Like, you know, not hide from, what's the word? Spiritual bypassing, right? Like none of that. Just be in it. And, you know, it's great when you got people who are there that can be solidarity. If you can find that, it's just really nice. Yeah.
That's why I appreciate our relationship so much, because like I went to an in-person summer solstice ritual. It was awesome. It was really cool. It was fun. But like we met, I think maybe a week or before, I can't remember when, but we did an episode for the elemental tea. And I felt like to me that was more of my ritual than the actual ritual was, because it was just like we actually connected and we talked about these things and we laughed about it and we got to be human. And that's something that I'm always like very grateful to each of you for, is like letting me like be gossipy and be shadowy, because those are things that I've always kind of like shamed in myself. But I'm like, oh, I can do that here. Okay, cool. Like I'm so glad.
Yeah.
And yeah, but it's like I do feel like you're right, May. It's like there has to be connection in like talking and not avoiding that connection. And because it's so easy to just do a task at hand and then like be in the space of with a person. But when we're actually like talking and we're like, hey, did you like that movie? Yes, I like this. What did you not like about it? I didn't like this. And then it's like, oh, we get to learn about each other's personalities, but also we're challenging ourselves to potentially, hear a perspective that's different from ourselves.
Yeah.
Like, and that's a really good thing, like to, I didn't think of it that way, or like, no, I disagree. And that's okay. Like, there's nothing wrong with that.
Take the risk of offending somebody or pissing them off, and then learn how to repair that.
Exactly.
Right. Or
I'm
make
going to learn
it.
how to emotionally regulate myself.
Yeah. Also
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And like we had this conversation a little bit ago, but I think it would be a cool thing to like put here is like our next few episodes are going into the fall, and we have like, spooky season, all that stuff, but summer is spooky.
Yeah.
And that's something with like harvest that I would love to like talk about too, just really quickly, is like there's so many spooky things about it. And it's like, just as Veronica, like you said, like the summer is like, like the second winter or whatever, there is so many spooky vibes. Like,
Yeah.
that's when everyone is out at night. That's when you hear all those like the cicadas and stuff. And that's when the sun is just draining you, and this energy at night, you're just like a zombie at night. Like, there's just so many like spooky aspects, and I feel like that's always kind of fun to harvest into, because it's not like it's summer and then spooky season starts, which even though like on social media it's fun to say all that, like ready for Halloween and all that, but like being present in that moment in the summer and really enjoying that spookiness too is such a cool feeling, I think, to bring in and get like started into the official like spooky season. Because I think times I remember as a kid that I was like the most afraid of something was during summer.
Yes.
That's so true. Yeah.
Or we
Like
would
those
talk.
camping trips, right?
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. The campfire stories are like crazy things that happen in camping stories. Yeah.
Yeah. And you
Encounters with
also do
wildlife.
more exploring at
Yeah.
nighttime,
Mhm.
like, and then like there was like in my hometown, there was this place called Hell's Gates, and we're teenagers, you're stupid, you just go and explore here. And we'd scare the shit out of ourselves because we'd have to cross like a railroad that like if you fell off, you would die.
Right.
And there were like steps missing, and it was just like, or you'd break into like abandoned houses, and then they're like
Yes.
explore. And it was just scary. You'd scare
Yeah.
the shit out of yourself and hear the folklore and
Yes.
for yourself. It's just so much fun.
And how many like horror movies are about camping trips, or like
Exactly. Yes.
or like the lake house, or like whatever, or
Yeah.
somebody drowned and then came back to life, or
Yeah.
like,
I've
The
always
movie
been
starts in the summer.
really spooked by the idea of an ice cream truck.
Mhm.
There's something
Yeah, totally.
haunting about it. And I'm like, he comes at night, he's going after kids, and hits a really creepy song.
Did I ever tell you I had I had an experience kind of like that? And let me tell you this quick story. I know we're going kind of long on this episode, but I have to tell this story because it's so perfect. So when I was in college the first time around, when I was at the UW, I had this like little period of time where I was like doing a lot of acid, and like I was like tripping.
Where is this going?
I was tripping balls, and it was nighttime, and I don't remember what time of year it was. I can't remember, but it was kind of warm out. But it was like dark. It was like 10 or 11 o'clock at night. And like my boyfriend at the time and I were walking around and we hear this ice cream truck, except for like the music is warped. It's like the tape is fucked up or something. So it's just like, and yes. And we were like, what? We were like, what the fuck? Like I could not get my key in the lock, like to my dorm, like fast enough. It was so fucking scary.
Terrifying.
Right. And then, you're on drugs. So it's like even more terrifying than it normally would be because you're just like, oh God, this is how I die. But yes, it's so yes. I mean, 100% yes. Like the spooky, like murderous ice cream truck guy. Yes. Or woman or person. Yes. Or monster, whatever.
Or bodies of water at night. I
Alien.
find bodies of water can get creepy.
Yes, like something
lakes or yeah.
Or like a creature feature. I'm thinking like a film, but like something that crawls out at night.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Or like a shark or like
Alligators.
alligators. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
that's gonna be creepy.
Or like when you go swimming and the algae like brushes up against you and you don't expect it. You're like,
Yes.
oh my God, what was that?
And then they have
And the woods. The woods are always creepy.
yeah.
I will say something though. Something about southern US, particularly Florida, Mississippi, has a sexy spooky. It's not regular spooky. It's a sexy spooky. Like just for
It's not
me,
like Appalachian spooky. It's
no,
like
it's
swamp
like
spooky.
yeah, there's something about
It's sultry,
that.
yeah.
It's sultry. You're like,
Skyline.
damn, like this looks good,
Right.
I don't know. It's just it's
You're like,
stunning.
scare me harder, daddy.
Scare me harder, daddy. No, but it's just gorgeous. I remember I was like 14 and we went this East Coast trip and I was like, this is the most spectacular thing I've ever seen. Like the swamps, I fell in love, and the mangroves, like oh, gorgeous, 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 like just unbelievable. And it's spooky, but it's like a Venus flytrap. It's sweet and you can't resist it, but that thing's gonna kill you, and you go into it anyways. Like that's what I feel the vibe in those areas.
I agree.
Like
Very true
like
blood vibes.
siren or a mermaid.
Mhm.
yes,
Sucking you in.
yeah, yeah.
Whereas like our
Appalachian-
woods are like,
yeah, you're like hell no, I'm not going in there.
right. Our woods
Yeah,
at night are
no.
like, get the fuck out.
That's how Texas.
100%. It's like nope, just
Everything
there is
is-
nothing alluring. Like it's it's gorgeous but terrifying. Like oh, there's a cougar. Nope, going away
Right.
now.
You're like, I hear nothing. That's a bad sign.
Yeah, it's a really bad sign.
Texas was like isolated spooky. You know,
Mm.
Where? Sorry,
Texas.
Texas is spooky as hell. That place scares me. And you're right, isolated spooky.
Mhm.
It's real, and I feel like that was Arizona.
Yeah, it's very similar to that. It's like you are alone and the madness is coming from inside. Like
But it's also alluring in a weird way.
hmm
Like I don't know. And anytime there's like a horror story about anywhere like Arizona, Texas, I can't help but want to watch it. Like I'm terrified as hell, but it's so alluring. Yeah.
It's very like vampiric too. Like I feel
Yeah.
like
Oh yeah.
vampire, like
From
same
dusk
thing
till
with
dawn.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I immediately thought of. Mhm.
May, why do you think the Pacific Northwest has that like I'm too terrified to go in there? It's not alluring.
I think it's because we have a lot of untouched wilderness still. Like
Yeah.
we have a lot of dense wilderness, even like the places that have been logged, like because by the time, I mean, like obviously in the early days and still in some places, they're like clear cutting the shit out of places. But like, I think the environmental movement like caught some of that before
Yeah.
it, like before it was really decimated, like it was in other places. So I think, yeah, like we still have a lot. It's funny because like my partner will like listen to a lot of like spooky stories, especially like with cryptids and stuff like that. But even just like real things that have happened, like, oh, these people went missing forever and nobody ever found a trace of them.
Yeah.
And a
All the
lot
time.
of them happen in the Northwest. A
Yeah.
lot of them have happened not far from where we live. So,
Yeah, same here.
yeah.
You know.
So I think there's that like aspect of like how as civilized as you think you are. Like we're not, so yeah. um and yeah, I mean, like if you've ever been in like a misty northwest forest, like way like back on the tiny logging roads with like the really long numbers, because the US Forest Service like has this weird convention for like how they number their roads. And so it's like every time one branches off, like they'll add more numbers. So like if you're on a Forest Service road that has like a really long number, you're like on like a little tiny tributary, right? Like, whereas like the main roads are like two numbers. So um so if you're in a place where you're like the road is getting smaller, narrower, more rough, and it has a lot of numbers on the sign, like you should probably turn around unless you know where
You're
the fuck
just
you're going.
screwed. Like,
Right. Yeah. Like, yeah. And so people do get lost. And then people also will go off trail a lot thinking like that they can. And the thing about like our mountains is that they're new. They're
Yeah.
all new. And so the ground is not as stable everywhere as one would think it might be. Like, let alone like all the weird seismic activity that happens here. So like you might go off trail and think you're in a stable area, and then the ground like falls out from under your feet and you fall down a cliff and die. And nobody even knows where the fuck you are because you left your car, like 2 days walk away. You know what I mean?
It happens all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, it happens a lot. And so people are like, and then a lot of people get taken out there to be murdered.
Yeah.
So there's that. So yeah, I mean, and like it's not spooky in the same way like the Appalachian woods are, which is like older spooky. Like that's old, like
so
old
scary,
magic
y'all.
spooky,
Like
right?
spirits
Like
and stuff, yeah.
we are like Wild West spooky out here. Like we are like young and
West.
dumb spooky, I guess. I don't know. It's just
Yeah.
a vibe.
Yeah.
And yeah, there are mountain lions. So
Yeah.
I really enjoyed learning about the Appalachian Mountains now that I live in Maryland. It is like so spooky. Like and some of the like don't go out at night.
Yeah.
Close your blinds. If you hear your voice or somebody says your name or a voice, no, you didn't. Like
Yeah.
it's so spooky. And
Yeah.
I believe it. Like I'm like it's like what Nishida was saying earlier, where with a hurricane, where it's like you have a respect for it, and you just you follow the rules, you listen, and I'm not going to try to like be above whatever is in this.
right.
Yeah. Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like message received.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah.
I heard that do not enter loud and clear.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
I used to live up there, so I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, it's some spooky stuff up.
Before we pull our cards, I wanted to ask each of you, we're the elemental tea. So I wanted to ask, like, with this harvest time and, the fact that even though like spooky season is approaching, like summer and going into falls, like such good times to do like little spells and stuff. So I wanted to ask each of you, like, what's the elemental practice that you can, like, something small that you could do that anyone like chilling out with us for our episode could do. So like I have for mine for air, I was thinking of you could, for with the season, like write little on pieces of paper something you're grateful for, like a gratitude practice, and go out and just read them out loud, like into the wind, or writing them down on little pieces of paper if you have access to nature or something outside, or even a plant that you're okay with outside. And just like tying little pieces of that paper to the tree and letting it blow in the wind, and just kind of let that gratitude go. So like for air, that's a little like harvesty spell that I thought would be nice to share.
I have one for earth. So earth, I always think about one of the neglected like correspondences of earth is our own body, right? And just being like present in our physicality. And so I think that a good practice for Earth is to just take some time and sit like where you are and just like notice all your senses, like at least name one thing for each sense. So like, what am I smelling right now, and what am I hearing right now, and what can I taste right now? What do I see, what do I feel like on my skin or in my hair, or and I think like the more that you can describe about like what's happening with you right now, the more present you can be in like a time and place where things are going on crazy around you. Like, and that includes like celebrations too. Like, if you do go to a seasonal celebration, or you have like a outing with your family or whatever, and you're just feeling like a lot of joy and gratitude in that moment, like take the time to like just sit and notice like all of those senses and really bring yourself into the moment, instead of thinking like, how can I capture this, or oh, what if this ends, or you know what I mean, like just really like root yourself in that moment.
I like that.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I was really, because I have a lot of things I would do, but I wanted to try to think of something that would be accessible to anyone that's maybe landlocked and not near bodies of water. And then I've thought of like putting the water in the window and collecting the sun. But I decided to go with something a little more metaphorical instead, that anyone can do. And I thought of dream work because I associate water with dreams, especially if you look at the moon card and like, the crawfish coming out of the water. And I just think of dreams. So I would say, make a nice your favorite soothing cup of tea before bedtime, and like tell yourself, like think about what you want to explore, whether it's a question, whether it's inspiration, a solution. I really find like when you have that conversation with yourself before bedtime and you do it several times, and keep a paper and pen next to your bed, or if you have your iPhone or some kind of recording device, record yourself talking if writing in the morning's too much. Like I found I've gone to that route because I used to write out everything, but sometimes in the morning, like I don't have my glasses on, I'm like, oh, So I just find like hit record and talk really helps me, and then I can write it out later. But you'd be surprised, over a span of like a week or two, you start to see synchronicities, and then you see them around you. If you pay attention, you'll see it in your day-to-day life, and you might just get your answer. And sometimes your answer is like, well, maybe that's not what you want, or maybe like, or it'll ask you a question back, like, why are you asking me this, what is it for? Like I've had so many crazy epiphanies with dream work where it's like, why is that important to you? And I'm like, oh gosh, like shit, I never thought of it. I never thought about why that's important to me. And and then it led me down like this rabbit hole. And so I think dream work is really an awesome divination, and just like get to know yourself. So yeah, that would be my water spell work.
Love that.
I was similar to you, Julia. I was like trying to think like in metaphorical terms because I think it's so easy to do candle magic, and I am a candle magic whore to the max.
Love it.
But I was like, you know what? Like to really bring it back to the autumnal season and the autumn equinox, I really feel like doing hearth magic is really important, right? Like the hearth is like the fireplace or the heart of your home. And as we're kind of transitioning from the summer to the fall, I don't know about y'all, but I love me some Halloween decorations. I love me some Samhain decorations. I love me a good candle that smells like, you're baking a pie, or like apples, or like there's just something about that ambiance that is just so special. And so I think like really getting in touch with the warmth of your home, cooking a good meal underneath that flame, building those heart-centered passions, like making your home look like a reflection of you. Like somebody walked in, they'd be like, oh, I feel like I'm getting a hug from Veronica right now because this feels like her. And inviting friends over for a cup of tea, or eating s'mores by your metaphorical fireplace. Because I had one ironically everywhere. I lived in Texas, but don't have a fireplace on the East Coast. Is very weird. I don't know why. But my metaphorical, fireplace really, I think, exists in the heart and the energy of my home and like what I want to cultivate. And there's just something so nurturing about that because really the flame or the fire, the element of fire during fall and winter is what keeps us warm. It's what keeps us protected. It's what keeps us nurtured and safe. And so really kind of building upon that home magic and that hearth magic, I think really cultivates that sense of security and safety that our house represents. And it's a reflection of us. And I think I build such a strong connection with my home. And I know she like feels the love, around this time because I'm paying attention to her more inside, and we're cooking all those yummy foods, and yeah, it just makes me feel really cozy.
I love that.
Mhm.
That's awesome.
Definitely going to do all those things. I wanna
Right?
do each one of your things. I want to do them all. Like
Yeah.
a nice holistic entry into fall.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cozy, like cozy, I don't know, cozy vibes.
Mhm.
You guys want to draw cards?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have the Darkwood Tarot again.
Oh, I love that deck. I'm always excited when you pull that one out.
I have
Got a fancy card.
I have Tarot Renard again.
Oh, yay.
Yeah. I just love this deck. It's such a sweet little deck.
I live vicariously through all your decks, by the way. So I don't need to buy them all. You guys have to.
I know. There was a while where I was like, I felt like I was speed dating decks, and now I'm just like, I'm over it. I have my decks I like and that like me back, and that's it.
I love that. I have the Sacred Rebels Oracle.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, nice.
Been with me since, I don't know, like 2015 or something.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's an old one.
All right, well, I can go first. So I have the World card.
Oh, wow.
So pretty.
Yeah,
Love
I feel
that.
like it's there we go. I mirrored my videos, so I got a little confused. So yeah, I like this card because I really feel like it kind of sums up what we were talking about is that connection. Like I like how the fox has their tail in the water and their feet on the ground, and then they are nose to nose with the butterfly, and the sun is around, and then there's the earth in the background. And it just really speaks to like not only all that connection and being in the world and of the world, but also like this culmination of like effort, right? Like celebrating and like taking stock of like what we've done, like the accomplishments that we've done. In a couple of the communities that I've in online, like it happened a couple of times, and I am sorry that I don't remember like who and where it was exactly, but like there were a couple of people who mentioned either having like a full altar or like part of an altar to like like here's the spells I have going on, and then here's the spells that like I've finished, and like some representations of that. And then like somebody else was like, I have an altar to like my accomplishments. And this card is really just reminding me of those conversations because it's like, how many of us really go back and reflect on those things in our pursuit of ever more, ever bigger, ever grander, right? And so I think this is a really good season for doing that.
Yeah. That's
So
a
good.
beautiful looking card too.
Yeah, I love the artwork in this deck.
I love it. Would you guys like me to go?
Sure.
Yeah.
So this one feels so appropriate for our podcast. So this is called Visions of Life Beyond Death. Let me see. Yeah, there we go. Can you guys see it well?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. So I see an owl, there's a peacock and a crow. And I think for me, when I look at that, I'm thinking of the cycles. So I think it's sorry, the light. So I'm thinking of cycles, but I'm also thinking of the different like stage. So like an owl is the mind.
Mm-hmm.
So like the soul, like the kind of like the star of the universe. The peacock is of the earth. It's what we see. It's, extravagance, everything of that nature. And then the crow is like, they eat carrion. So they're tending to the dead. So I'm thinking of that life cycle. And I believe there is a little egg right there. And then there's a moon under the egg right here. And I'm just thinking, so first of all, I talked about dream work, and then this comes up, but also I'm thinking about the egg and as a seed. And I'm thinking about the conversation we had earlier, and it's the idea of like harvesting, like what are we harvesting now that will tend us, like that will hold us together through the winter? Like what can we do now that's going to nourish us through the winter, and nourish that seed and those thoughts and like dreams and whatever, and everything from physical to emotional and whatever. And then what can carry us through the winter so that when spring comes, that can come back, and in whatever form that is. So yeah, I think that's very accurate to what we were talking about today. And then you have the elder here, and at the end of towards the end of their life cycle. So I don't know, I think there's something really powerful about that. And I also think of winter as sleep and rest and reflection, inward reflection. And I think dream work really goes well with that. So yeah, I'm just thinking of like cycles and what we're bringing in. So yeah, it's that card.
That's a really nice looking card too.
Yeah, it is. It's really pretty.
I can go next.
Yeah.
Okay, so I pulled from the Earth Warriors Oracle. It just felt appropriate. I don't know. I was like, it's very connected to the land. So I pulled the Pacha Karmak card. It's nourishment of the soul. This is a deity in Peru, and it's the father of the world. Is what this represents. And I like that it's kind of gender neutral. Like when I initially looked at it, I was like, oh, this is like Mother Earth, but it's meant to be, I think, more about the energy of sustaining life. And it doesn't really have this like gender kind of like camouflaging that. It's more about like the oneness, right? I like that it's also like there's like different aspects of it. Like you can kind of get lost up here, you can kind of get lost out. Yeah, there's like all these, it's like the memories, right? And the memories that we're patching together, the nostalgic parts of us that we remember, all these things that kind of nourish us. Because it's not just one thing, it's like multiple things.
Yeah.
And I really love what the book says. I'm going to read it. So nourishment of the soul. You are granted the gifts of fertility, creativity, and earthly abundance to support all needs, for nourishing body, mind, and soul, and to live your life fully and be capable of manifesting your divine purpose. Give yourself permission to be nourished. This includes your body and also providing your heart, your mind, your soul with what they are hungry for: meaning, sweetness, divine love, and permission to be authentic. When you feed yourself that which truly nourishes you, wisely and generously, you shall become one who can also feed the world, that for which it truly hungers. And I think that's so beautiful because, we're all planting these seeds and kind of giving back to ourselves, but in doing so, we're kind of also helping the collective. We're kind of raising that energy and preparing for winter in a way. It's really beautiful. So
yeah, and it also goes to what you were saying about how you are really stretching your comfort with being authentic in community too, and that card seems to really support that idea. I love it.
Yeah, really beautiful.
Yeah. Well, I got, which like immediately like pulling it was like the warmth of like everything we were talking about and like the spooky season vibes, but I got the Lovers card.
Oh wow.
My face here. Yeah, and it's it's a pretty sensual looking card. But just the moment of like just being really present there, really stood out for me. And then the warmth and the sensuality, and like Julia, how you were saying, like in certain areas it's very like that sultry kind of like fall or summer into fall vibes. um and this definitely feels like it. And then also, Veronica, the way you were talking about love and like being there with love, even though it's like the lover's card, I still think of a lover's card sometimes as like having love with yourself, and allowing yourself that compassion and, like I was mentioning, that slowness, and just kind of being present and steadier, but softer at the same time. And like when you think of like the typical movie like love making scene, there are those like spots of the like very swift and sturdy and steady, but then that very slow and sensual. Like, so thinking of like allowing myself to be in that as well, with the Lover's card. And then just like the moon in the back, and just how everything just looks. There's so many things swirling around in this card, like in the background. Um, and it's just like this divine moment of sensuality and warmth and passion and being present. And um, even though like with her, she's like looking up, and so it's like she's in the moment, but like fully like pulling in everything and just being present. So I really like the fact that this was a lover's card, even though a lot of times, you know, it sounds like it's with somebody else, or you have to have someone else involved in the situation. I really think this is really good for us individually for this time of the year.
Yeah.
I like how all of our cards had like some form of connection in them.
Yeah.
Like there was like this sort of oneness, this kind of bringing together, this unification of the soul.
Mm-hmm.
It's really beautiful.
Yeah, that was really awesome.
They always do that. I love that.
Yeah.
I love how they always really resonate with what we're speaking of. It's awesome.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you, everyone. That was really nice.
It was. I feel like I think every episode now I'm like, I feel like we see this all the time, but this was really fun. But I still feel that way.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, thank you all, and happy harvest, and happy happy summer vibes at the same time. And yeah.
And hope you have a good transition into the
Yeah.
season, and hold yourself dearly and take care of yourself and take care of the people and everything around you. And yeah.
And find balance.
Mm-hmm.
And nourish your soul.
Yeah. We're all chill now.
I know.
We're just like, it was so nice.
Like it's sleepy time now.
Yeah,
Like,
good night, everyone.
relaxed and happy.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Have a good night. Bye.